allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Persing?
Here.
Snyder? Bartello?
Here.
Troop?
Here.
Eister?
Here. Jamie, you have the front seat. You have the floor is yours.
I sat up front at first, but I can leave when I'm done. Tonight I just wanted to come to council to discuss, well, there's not many of you here, to discuss the possibility of some budget modifications to last year's and 2 years ago funds. Tonight was supposed to be, as advertised, the project selection for 2013. However, that's been postponed. As you all know, there's a bunch of stuff going on in Washington, and God knows when we'll get our allocations for 2013. So there's no rush, and we'll have some meetings over the next couple months to discuss what we want to do with 2013's money. 2011, you have some facade improvement funds, $47,933.10 to be exact, that HUD and DCED have not yet approved to use. As you recall, that facade program was a facade rehab program based on LMI benefit of the entire city, much as Cameron Park, Stroh Alley, Edison Plaza. Any improvements we make to the downtown is a benefit to everybody in the city. HUD and DCD have not approved that. They have said in order to qualify, you must meet LMI benefit based on the people who use those businesses that apply for the facade grant. That's sort of ridiculous. HUD, we put a position paper together and sent it to HUD, they sent it, or to DCD, they sent it to HUD, and we have not got an answer yet. I did email Donna and Rico at DCD last week, and she said she's still waiting to hear back from Andrea at HUD, and every time I ask, I hear it will be to me in a couple of weeks. A couple of weeks from when, I don't know. But we should get a response from HUD at some point saying yes or no, we can do the facade program the way we want to. But rather than waiting any longer on that 2011 money, because DCD likes us to spend the money within 3 years of the grant contract being in place, 2011 money was in place the January of 2012. So we're already a year, 13 months into that contract. I'm suggesting that we rebudget that money into what I'm calling the dip-in project. One of the projects submitted for 2013 funding was from Rasbar, I believe is how you pronounce it, Incorporated, for a restaurant called the Dip In next to the Squeeze In. This would qualify as a special economic development activity where you give a forgivable loan, a grant, however you want to structure it, to a business to make improvements, and then that business is then required to create 1 or 2, however many jobs, depending on how much funding you give them. In this case, it would be 1 or 2 jobs would have to be created, which are given to low to moderate income people. Do you have a question, Jim?
Yeah. Is that for like just for startup businesses, or is that more for a business with a track record? I mean,
Well,
how do
it's
we
pretty
know
much
this will
for
survive? How do we
it's
know
pretty
this
much
will?
for any business. If it's a new business, they have to create the jobs the same way.
So if this goes out of business, say the first year after the grant money, then does he have to pay the money back?
That's up to you. If you want to structure it that way, you can structure it as a forgivable loan, say forgivable over 5 years. You know, and it can be then prorated for each year. Any way you want to do that, we can structure it that way. From DCD's opinion, as long as you've created the job and hired a low-income person, you've met your responsibility. So as long as your investment in the project results in a job being created, you've done what you need. And then hiring of a low-income person, you've met your obligation.
Not whether they keep the job, it's just
No,
creating.
right, and that question has been asked, and that's not, I asked DCD what if those people quit, because you know, a lot of times people go and work in the service industry, they don't stay very long. DCD says that's not what we're basing it on. You create the job, you hire an LMI person, you've met your obligation. Very vague, I know. This project is ready to move forward now, and as you also know, there is about a 3-month window where we have to do an environmental review. So the reason I'm suggesting moving this 2011 facade money, and then as you also see in front of you, some of the admin money that's in 2011, moving it now so that we can get started on the environmental review and get that project moving, since it is ready to move forward. That'll allow us to be timely in spending your 2011 money. It's very similar to the essence of the facade program anyway. It is investing in the downtown in an economic development activity, just a different activity where the business owner is willing to put his money on the line to create that job. that's needed to be created.
If facade money wouldn't do that.
The facade money did not have that obligation. That was based on citywide LMI benefit, which is not flying with HUD.
You said you could have. You could have done it the other way.
You could, I mean, if you wanted to do a facade program basing it on job creation, we can do that. I mean, we can do all of them, and which we intend to do eventually is to create this special economic development activity program, which will run through, create guidelines for as we go here, to allow other businesses to apply. If they were going to apply for facade money, they could then apply for money for a special economic development activity, but they have to pledge that they'll create at least one job. I think it's one job for $39,000 of CDBG or something like that.
So then we'll have to create two, if this is 50.
Yeah, 1.5 full-time equivalents.
Just
Yeah,
half a person.
half of a full-time equivalent of a part-time job. And then, so I was suggesting that we rebudget $50,000 into the dip-in project, which they would then have to match with their matching funds. We haven't determined a specific percentage of grant to match yet, but we will determine that. But I'm suggesting that right now, we say we're going to allocate $50,000. And then the rest of that money from 2011 to be put into stretchers for the EMS department. They submitted a project for 3 new stretchers. I think that's a good project to support as well. It's ready to go right now. You can spend your money quickly on it because again, we're looking for projects that we can spend in a timely manner and get this money spent. And then 2012, you have a land acquisition project that was funded with $30,000 of CDBG that no longer is going to happen. You've already purchased that property in the rec area. So that money needs to be rebudgeted into something. So I'm suggesting that we rebudget that remaining back $30,000 into the stretchers project. And then you have program income that was generated in 2012. And at the same time that we do our public hearing to create these new projects, I'm suggesting that we allocate the $2,429 of program income to the demolition activity. That's the 20% or the 30% we can allocate to demo. And then $4,175.90 to the stretchers, to make a total of $42,000 that the EMS asked for stretchers. Again, this is just to put out in front of you. This is just a draft of the public notice that would be posted around the city. If you want to go ahead and move forward with scheduling a public hearing to rebudget funds into the dip-in economic development project as the initial guinea pig, if you will, for our new economic development activity, and then into the EMS stretchers, and to apply your program income to those projects.
How many stretchers did they say they were getting?
3.
3? Maybe I missed it. Are they stretchers like just to carry a person?
They are very, yes, but is there anybody here from the EMS?
Yeah.
They're not
fancy.
stretchers, yeah.
They up and down.
They're not
and they-
stretchers like you think of as stretchers.
No.
I think with the electronic stretchers,
There you
that
go,
Oh, okay. All right,
electronic.
okay.
they basically, it's to help out our personnel, we're not lifting so much. They're literally just pick themselves up, and you have to worry about sliding them in.
Does it take their blood pressure while they're laying there and all that stuff too?
We just bought, we were gonna go last year and try to get the new monitors. They were, I think, 30,000 a piece, but we got them ourselves. So we're just trying to get some help with the list, we want to get. So we have a bigger coverage area now. We go all the way down to Herndon, Dalmatia. We have basically we call it America South. We cover all there, Shamokin, Rockefeller, Monroe Township, Sunbury. We're expanding, so.
With that expansion,
So that's-
are you going to be
I'm here to make
housed
the
on
basic-
Front Street or?
Yeah, we're still there.
basically get your consensus with having a public hearing on March 11th if you want to look into creating those new projects.
Yeah, and we want to emphasize the 11 money. You know, if we can do what we want to do there without getting it into the 12, but clearly we're going to get into 11 because again, like you said, that's over a year old.
Right, yeah, the 11 money you definitely want to look at spending, and moving it into this new economic development activity isn't much different than what you were looking to do with the facades. Hopefully by the March 11th, we'll have an answer from HUD about those facades, and we can decide what to do with the 12 money.
Would that give us enough time, March 11th, to come up with like a percentage and everything for the new
Yeah.
economic development package?
We can certainly talk about that between now and then. And like I said, I can put these numbers out there as being posted as what we're considering moving. They aren't concrete. We can always go to the 11th meeting. Anybody know the 11th?
Is there any other businessmen that applied for anything other than the squeeze-in?
Not this year, no. Nope, that was the only one.
We'll talk about that later. She's not involved in that.
Oh, it's not secret. Don't publish that.
I have a letter here about that. We'll talk about that later.
I
I know, you just have to, we'll get your sandwich plate.
was excited for a good race, right?
Bob's worried about it.
All right, so if you're good with that, I will get this, I'll email you the notice, Terry, and you can give it to Cheryl or have Tyler post it around the city. And I'll come back on the 11th and we'll have our public hearing to discuss creating these projects. In the meantime, we can email and discuss how you want to set up that program for percentage-wise
Right.
match and grant and things like that.
Okay.
Would we be able to have one more meeting before?
We can certainly schedule a meeting if it works for you guys.
I wasn't able to be at the last one.
Oh, yeah, we gotta,
Just
because she's gonna get the figures together
Just
so we
to
can.
talk about the projects.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll try to
we'll
find
definitely have
an
that, yeah.
afternoon next week, but I'll work with Terry to find an
See
afternoon
what's
next week that
scheduled.
you're available. Is there any specific day that works better for you, Joe? Any day, usually in the afternoon? It's usually after around 4:30 when the mayor's available. We'll have to do
Yeah,
it.
that's fine.
Okay,
All right, I'll find a date to do that.
good.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, that's good, you did good.
Oh, thanks.
You know, even when I sent an email, I just wasn't sure how it was gonna work, so that's a good explanation, and it's,
Yeah.
that could be huge in getting, I like the job asset to it, so. clearly
Yeah,
we-
and I mean, that's the big thing with the facade program, we didn't ask businesses to do that. You know, we were basing it on the same way we did Cameron Park and Stroh Alley. You know, it's gonna benefit the entire city, have it improve downtown, bring people into the downtown. We can do the facade program or grants to businesses to make improvements the same way we're looking at doing it with the dip-in. However, they have to be willing to pledge that they'll create that job.
Right.
And understand if they don't create the required number of jobs, they have to pay the money back.
And that's what we have to talk about, how that works out.
Right, I mean, there's a lot of structuring to be done to the program, but if we could get this started and, you know, I think it will be easier to go through it and do it as we go, and then, you know, get that project underway and come up with some guidelines so that everybody's on the same, it won't be one for one business and one for another, it'll be a program that everybody follows the same
Right.
guidelines. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
Okay, unfinished business. First thing on the agenda tonight, we have everybody have a copy? Everybody has a copy in front of you, the resolution, how are we going to call this? The smaller resolution than all the stuff that was sent to us, but I'm going to make a motion that we pass the resolution tonight. I'm going to read it. Whereas the citizens are concerned about the overreach of the federal government within sections 1021 and 1022 of the National Defense Authorization Act for the fiscal year 2012, whereas the members of Sunbury City Council have taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, now therefore be it resolved, Sunbury City Council members request Congressman Lou Barletta to introduce, support, and secure the passage of legislation within sections 1021 and 1022 of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2012 that will guarantee all citizens the unalienable rights guaranteed to us under the U.S. Constitution. I need a second.
Second.
Bartello,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Heister,
Yes.
Persing,
Yes.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. We have an appointment of Jesse Woodring for alternate for the zoning hearing board. I want to make a motion.
Second.
Then let me ask, does anybody else have any nominations?
No.
Nobody from the zoning hearing board said anything to you? I just want to make sure they don't have anybody. Okay.
Jesse was recommended by the zoning hearing.
Oh, okay. So we have a first and Jim second?
Troop,
Yes.
Heister, Persing,
Yes.
Bartello,
Yes.
Street closure, car show, June 8th.
Yes, we had a letter here drafted to the district traffic engineer for PennDOT to close Market Street. June the 8th, 2/13, for the Rotary Club plans to have a car show. And I'd like to make that formal motion.
I'll second it.
Heister,
Yes.
Persing,
Yes.
Bartello,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes, thanks, Jim.
Wow.
We have the Woolworth Street project, a just budget amendment, Jim?
Yes. The original cost for Wolverine Street project was $1,050,000. It's been revised to $1,200,652. What had happened was there was a light package in there. Initially, when they did the bidding, we came in over budget. We went back to PennDOT and we wrote some letters and they agreed to fund the project totally. So I'm making a motion to amend the original agreement of $1,050,000 to $1,200,652,000. Oh, excuse me, $652.
So there's no
I'll
additional,
second that, Jim.
You have to include authorize the mayor to sign.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's an agreement to be signed, yes. I'd like to make also that the mayor has the authorization to take and sign the new agreement.
I just want to emphasize that there's no increase to the city of Sunbury whatsoever on this project.
No, this is
So
all
we got the extra.
federal state.
That worked out perfect. Well, we have a first and second.
Persing,
Yes.
Martello,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Ister.
Yes.
Todd's not here tonight. He asked me if I could, the approval to pay the invoices, vouchers payable $121,226.76. General fund 444006. No, it was the general fund. Liquid fuels was $4,440.06. I make that in form of a motion.
Second.
Martello,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Ister,
Yes.
Persing.
Yes. Any audience comment? Yes, sir.
Yes, I do want to thank the council for taking a first step with the resolution that you passed tonight concerning NDAA.
You're welcome.
And, you know, I do appreciate that you guys are willing to hear our concerns. I do want to say, though, that I don't think the resolution that you passed tonight went nearly far enough. I think we need to look back at our history here in Pennsylvania. When the Fugitive Slave Act was a problem and slave catchers, back in the 1800s obviously, slave catchers would come up here into our state and kidnap people. But we said, no, we have a presumption that you are free and that you have a right to a trial. And we passed laws here back then that stopped it, and we started arresting people who tried to come into our state and kidnap people. And I think that is the next step. I think you guys need to not just say to Lou Barletta that you need to repeal 1021, 1022 of NDAA, but you need to actually do something that says that you at least won't cooperate with the federal government if they come in here. I mean, it is. I do appreciate that you are, you know, telling Congress about our concerns, but I think there's more here that we can do at home to protect our rights. And I just want to say that I think this should just be a first step. I think the council still needs to go further. We still have to protect the people here from indefinite detention, and if that means not cooperating, if we're asked to cooperate, I think that's something that needs to be considered. If it means arresting federal agents for violating kidnapping laws, because that's what it is. It would be kidnapping people because they're denying them their constitutional rights. And yeah, just like I said, I do thank the council for taking the first step, but I don't believe the resolution went nearly far enough.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, I think,
I'm sorry, we need your name for
my
record.
name is Nick DeFonte,
Okay.
and I think that PANDA, People Against NDAA, did meet you halfway. Instead of having an ordinance, PANDA said we'll do a resolution with you. And really what this is doing now is passing the buck. Do you support our rights, Mayor?
Are you talking to me? Or
Yes, sir.
Every time's up. We passed ordinance tonight that said what we support.
No. You passed something that said, please, Mr. Barletta, make sure you uphold our rights. But we're not talking about Lou Barletta. We're not in Lou Barletta's office. We're in your office. And we're saying, do you support our rights and defend them as a mayor of this city?
That's what it says in the ordinance.
So
we'll
you
continue
will
on.
interpose the police force. Is that, am I gathering this correctly then? The
What we're
police,
gathering correctly from me personally is that I support the Constitution of the United States. That's what we passed tonight, and the conversation. That's what we did tonight. If you can use that in your other communities that you're trying to get this passed in, God bless you, I hope you can use it, that's all. But we did, that's what we acted on tonight. Not, you guys sent me 12 pages, I think I should send everybody 12 pages of various information. very detailed stuff, and it was clear. We just shortened it up to address our needs tonight. So our needs tonight was to address we believe in the Constitution and what we were sworn in to do, period. That's the end of it.
With believing in the Constitution, as he said, possibly...
And your name is, sir?
John Bird. Possibly include interposing the police with anything that would be unconstitutional? Because it's one thing to say that you don't want anything unconstitutional to happen, but if you're not actually going to do anything about it, you know, like willing to do anything physically with that.
I don't think that ever would come about, so.
Well, if you don't think it would ever come about, why not ease the concerns of some of your citizens here and say that we will, you know, certainly not allow that to occur, if you really believe that it'll never happen?
You can take what we passed tonight go any way you want to, sir. That's what we passed tonight on behalf of the City Council of the City of Sunbury. That's where it ends, right there. If Joe wants to present some other proposal in the future or something, then that's something else to look at. Tonight, we adopted that resolution. This council did. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have one more question, and that is, if the federal government did ask you, and as mayor, you are directly in charge of the police department. If they asked for the police department's cooperation in indefinitely detaining somebody under the NDAA, what is your response going to be as the person in charge of the police department?
We'll sit down with the chief of police at that time and look over the situation.
All right.
Anybody have any comments? Yes, sir.
I'd like to present you with something, sir. The men out the east end of the ball, or east end of the town at the ball field, had a tournament we ran in September, and we would like to make a donation to the Sunbury Fireworks Fund for this year.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
My involvement with John Bergen with finding out about the Panda Group and stuff, my actual main concern is, but I'd like to help out these folks too, is with, I don't know if you're familiar with the TSA checkpoints. The TSA now no longer considers themselves confined to border issues or airport security. They can just descend on a bus station and feel free to rifle through people's stuff. It's against the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. I don't know if you know, I would like to have some wording, you know, in this and maybe later on something that says, you know, hey, this is still Sunbury. And no matter whether it's a DEP says, no, you're not going to go sniffing at that stuff over here that's going on. You know, you say, this is Sunbury, and we will make sure that the Constitution rights are protected as far as travel, which would be another thing that, again, hopefully unlikely to happen. But then again, throughout history, people have said that, and with the higher up goes a little too far, and then it gets a little too late.
Look at Germany.
Yeah, if we pass history class, it should be to make a list, a big list.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes?
Don't they have to have a reason to do that?
Doesn't who have that reason to do what?
Well,
To go through people's suitcases? You can't just stop me in the street.
No.
you're right, that's the way it should be.
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
they don't have a damn good reason to open my purse.
They need to, if you're at the airport, they have zero probable cause to hurdle to take your laptop and make a copy of all your data. And I could shoot you news links talking about stuff like that.
All right. Lady back here had a hand up.
Me. I was curious to know how our newest member of the police department is doing.
How your newest member of the police department is doing?
Yeah,
He's doing,
the dog.
well, he's in training with Officer Hawes.
Okay.
They have to get used to each other. They've only known each other for what, Chief, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that, so.
He listened to us today, he was very loving.
Did he? I met him once, he didn't attack me or anything, so I guess that's good, and he was in the office today, so I guess that went over well, but he should get right in line, just like the old dog did, as Rocky gets phased out, or is pretty much phased out now, then the new one. So there's clearly some, you know, I don't know exactly how that works, I have a tough time training my own dog to sit, I don't want to do the things that this one does, but.
So is he strictly going to be, it is a he, correct?
Yes.
he's going to be used as a drug dog then?
Yes.
So what is his certifications and his credential?
I don't have him here in front of me. I know he's, well, Chief, can you rely on, he's a drug dog, he's,
I actually talked to
like
Scott
4 different
today.
things, isn't
I talked to Scott today about that. Since they're switching dogs, he has trainers to go. I thought the dog was completely online, but it'll be several weeks until all the certificates are in. And then copies will go to us and to City Hall. But he's still in the training process with this dog. So it's gonna be-
There's like 3 or 4 different things in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's-
And I can get that for the next meeting for you. I saw it writing, but I really don't have it in front of me, so I'm not sure what. But again, he has so many hours he has to spend with the dog to get the training
Sure.
certification together.
Okay, if you could do that, that'd be great.
Yep, we'll do that. Sir?
Yes, sir. I just want to get every single person here who has, said that they would go ahead and support this resolution. I want to know, just with a yes or no, if you believe sections 1021 and 1022 are constitutional. If I could, please.
What did our resolution say? That we asked? Well, you guys have copies of it. Yeah, we're asking this, in this resolution, that Congressman Barletta make sure that this does fall within the within the acts of the Constitution, is what we're saying. So yeah, personally, we agree that there's issues here, so yeah, right, we want things changed in there, so we're saying parts of that we don't feel are constitutional. I'm saying, if you're asking me.
I'm asking you, yes, sir. And if I could get everybody to get on record.
I think it's unconstitutional.
Okay.
Those 2 sections, the indefinite detention.
All right.
I'm not sure exactly what they say, can't find my copy right now, but I'm sure there's an issue, that's why we just passed this.
The applicable section, if you like.
Okay. Okay. Yes, sir.
Just one point about this.
Lou Barletta,
Gordon Lamb. Lou Barletta voted for the NDAA in Congress. He supported it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're writing him, telling him.
Yeah, well, he supported it originally,
it.
so just let you know where he's coming from.
Yep. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got something else I want to ask you about. Regarding the donation from Dagenstein to Geisinger for this new research project into harmful effects on people's health from the fracking industry. Now, last year,
Let me just stop you for 1 second. That has nothing to do with the city of Sunbury.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just leading into what I'm going to ask you about.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Last year, you told us all that this stuff was harmless. It was nothing to worry about, stuff coming to Celotex. And yet they're having this $1 million research project into its harmful effects on the people. And then only last month you told me here that, in fact, nothing was happening anymore because everybody had left the state and gone to Colorado, all the gas frackers, which is patently untrue. Now, are you going to revise your statement about the issues at Celotex? Is it safe or is it not safe? Regarding processing 1,000 tons of gas fracking waste a day in Sunbury.
There's nothing coming in there now. The stuff that was coming in was legal, permitted, and it was handled correctly. The stuff that people accuse us of bringing in, which never came in, was clearly illegal and was an issue. That's why it wasn't in the city of Sunbury. So nobody lied to you, nobody said anything else. What we talked about, the facts that we talked about here, every meeting, like I tell you, you can come to every meeting and find the facts here, not the stuff that gets dreamt up or things that you read about that happen somewhere else in the country. So as far as what was in there right now, and there's hardly anything going on right now. Even the ones in Ohio are pretty well capped off. Everybody's up in South Dakota. I don't know, maybe they're in Colorado if you say that's where they're at. But right now, the train at the Norfolk Southern part, I'm assuming is still going, but I understand there's not much coming in there either. Clean Harbor has moved, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, or they're in the process of moving. Well, like I say, when I get down to this, we'll talk about that part.
Yeah, but there's no such thing as safe fracking waste. It's all dangerous and toxic.
All of it has issues. Each part of it has issues. Clearly, water is worse because that's hauling the stuff around. There's mud. There's all kinds of parts of it, and they all have their own separate issues. Correct.
Yeah,
the problem is
that
all of it can be. It's not any different than having a woodworking company that has 10,000 gallons of thinner. That's dangerous too. And it just has to be handled correctly. So the city of Sunbury never, ever intended for any water to be brought in there. That clearly was the biggest issue that people had and the problems that they had. That was never even an intent to bring in the city of Sunbury, but there was discussed many a time. But, so anyway, that was never intended to come in, it never did come in. So that part of it, so nobody ever said that that whole process there wasn't problems with it. Of course there's problems with it. Anytime you have that kind of chemicals being used, you have problems with it, and that's why we monitor it. That's why you have DEP and DCR and all the rest of them that are involved in it.
Yeah, but you met with Clean Harbours to discuss putting in an evaporation pit which actually takes liquid waste from the fracking industry. That is fracking water we're talking about.
And they didn't do it, did they?
Well, they haven't done it yet.
They're not. Well, let me read you the letter. Since we'll say we're up into Clean Harbor, DEP. I'm writing this letter in regard to the above referenced permit application that was submitted to the Department of Environmental Protection. Per your request today, we acknowledge your withdrawal of the permit application and are returning our copy to you. Additional copies of the application were distributed to the City of Sunbury and Northumberland County as required by the residual waste resolutions. This is the original application that was put in, I'm going to guess 2 years ago. I don't know for a fact when that was. That was put in. There was never another application put in there, although people came to this meeting time after time and said there was. There was never another application ever put in. So the one that sat down there that they were going to revise, they never revised, and Clean Harbor, as they pulled out of Sunbury, withdrew this from the state of Pennsylvania. So there's no application for the whatever type of a pit you were talking about or anything else. This is the original application, which just established them to do whatever they wanted to do. Our zoning took care of that. They weren't allowed to do the part that they were getting into. And I don't know exactly what that was because I never saw a permit application because they never put a new one in. So I never saw exactly what they were planning on doing. But as I said from the beginning, the facts are here. This is the first letter we've got from them, and that's why we're announcing it tonight, because I told everybody to come here if you want to know what's going on. And I don't know for a fact if they're completely, Mike's not here, out of the building up there or not, but the Clean Harbor is, I don't know where they went to, but they're not in the city somewhere. They're not going to be in the city somewhere as far as the business. So all that's left, and I don't know, I know I was told that there's not much in the railroad yard being moved, because like I said, there's not much happening up there. But again, as I've said 15 times, there's no water being moved anywhere. That's about hauled into here. So that's how that's addressed. So you heard it tonight that there's the letter that the permit has been pulled from the state of Pennsylvania, so Clean Harbors Environmental Services has no longer even have an application in. So there's nothing that can happen.
So can you guarantee that nothing's coming to Sunbury? No fracking waste coming to Sunbury?
Yeah.
Clean Harbor is not bringing anything
Yeah, I know
into
they're
the city
not,
of
but can you
Sunbury.
guarantee nothing else is coming if anybody else?
I don't know what's coming in, if there's still the continuing stuff from the been so long since we talked about it. The drillings. I don't know if the drillings, all I've been told is that there's very little coming in. I don't know if the drillings are still coming, if there's no drillings at all coming in. That, whatever's coming in, as before, is permitted, is run legally, is done correctly. If that's continued or not, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's completely stopped 100%. I've only been informed, and when I ask the guys in the code office, they tell me there's a lot less coming in, but nobody's told me there's none coming in, so that I wouldn't say. But I can clearly find that out for you for the next meeting also.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can, ma'am.
Mr. Lamb, you do know all fossil fuels are dangerous.
Pardon?
All the fossil fuels that we use are dangerous. Oil, everything.
Yes, but we're talking about stuff which is laced with chemicals which can cause cancer, which can cause all sorts of other health effects.
And so can the other ones.
That's why they're having this health study with Geisinger, because of the dangers to the people.
Well, then you should trust Geisinger. You've got to trust someone.
Well, I don't trust the gas fracking companies, I can tell you that for a start.
Do you trust the oil companies? Do you trust the nuclear companies?
Sorry?
Do you trust the oil companies and the nuclear companies?
Only as far as they're controlled by regulations. If they can cut corners, they'll cut corners.
Okay. One announcement, the meter enforcement officer position, we're still accepting applications until Friday, which is March the 1st. That's been advertised. Joe, you want to talk about that letter of solar ordinance that we sent?
Yeah, we committed, the Department of Energy has a grant program called the Sunshot Program where they're trying to develop a standard solar panel ordinance and zoning permitting statewide because of the variance between the 2,500 different municipalities in the state. Everybody's so different, so they're trying to streamline it and get everybody consistent throughout the state. So they asked if part of their grant application that all these different municipalities that would want to get involved would commit 60 hours of staff time. So I gave Terry the information to send a letter of commitment for 60 hours of public safety staff time, which I'll put in myself, but if we can't find somebody else that wants to do it. But by participating in the grant, if they're accepted, we'll get a good ordinance that we can use for solar panels, because we don't have anything in our zoning right now. And it's not a whole new zoning ordinance, it's just in addition to what our current zoning is. It would just be like an accessory structure or something like that, the way it would be worded. But for us, being involved in it, we get free consultation with professional planners. They'll reimburse us the fee for the solicitor's review of the ordinance. They'll give us an electrical inspector that we have here in the city, free training with solar installations, and also free training with our code office staff for the permitting of solar installations. And also Penn Future would come here to do a presentation for council to go over the particulars of the program. So I think it seems pretty positive.
Remember we had a guy here, geez, that must have been maybe 2 years ago, that had brought us an ordinance or something we were looking at.
Oh, that was the guy from Shamokin with the electric union. But they wanted a different ordinance that said you had to be in the union.
Right. But I'm just saying, at least we talked about it at the time or something.
Right.
But yeah, anything at least, hopefully someday it'll be around where they're affordable to be beneficial and people will actually use them.
And they said that it's tentative right now to start in May or June if their application is accepted from the Department of Energy. But at this point,
we'll give
that's what we're doing.
More information when we hear if we get it. It is called the Bottle Works. It'll be the new restaurant up at the strip mall, up where McCann is and everything. It should be open, well, it's going to be another month or two. But if you remember, for the people that don't hear, there's a gentleman who's brought his lawyer with us. I guess that's been 6 months ago, huh? At least. About a transfer of a license, and so it's anyway. It's going to be a new business opening in North 4th Street Plaza called Bottle Works. We'll keep you, or you'll see on the news media, I'm sure, when that opens up also. That'll be, again, another new business into the city.
It's funny, Dave, I just talked to those people last week and they knew nothing about that.
What people?
The owners of the place that want to come in up here, they haven't done anything yet, according to what they told me, and I know them both very well.
Mr. Olson?
Mm-hmm. I talked to his wife.
Well, I guess he wants to keep it a secret from you, doesn't
last week, too, and she said, haven't made her decision yet.
Well, there's the letter. So maybe you ask him why he's keeping secrets from you. Just remind everybody, the State of the City, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock down at the Deggan Library. Any other business for the city? Yes, ma'am.
Just one thing, don't want to beat a dead horse to death, but what is the permit that they have on the Celotex property for doing that backfill? What's that all about? Because there is obviously activity going on that property with backfill.
I don't know what permits they have. We'd have to check with we will check with the code office downstairs and see what permits they have. I don't know what they're even doing.
I checked with the county. They don't have anything at the county either, as far as planning, as far as stormwater drainage. They haven't received anything.
So how can they do all that backfill if they don't have a permit?
I don't know who told them it wasn't required. I've been trying to get a hold of DEP today.
Because it's right there in view on Front Street, Front and Susquehanna Avenue. I mean, you have to be a blind man to go by there and not see that they're doing backfill.
You're talking about building the road. Where are they building the road?
Yeah,
well, I'm not certain if that's what it is, but it seems to be coming closer to Susquehanna Avenue with the backfill. And that's an awful big road if that's what they're doing.
They're about halfway across the lot now towards Susquehanna Avenue. And with the fence being down, it's been down since Hurricane Sandy. It was a little windy and blowing down. Yeah. Hasn't fixed it.
Well, we should have stormwater data from them though, because it's a 20,000 square foot area they applied to DEP for. And for some reason they say it's not required, but I'm trying to get a hold of DEP to tell them that it is required and we should have stormwater data.
Can't they
So Bill
stop?
check, it's his
There
department,
is,
so he'll check
there
and see
is
what it is.
stormwater drainage up there, guys, on that lot itself. It's been there since Celotex.
Well, I know now they're raising the level of the road up 6 feet or so, and it's changing all the drainage, but they haven't submitted anything new.
But it's not
All right,
changing
well,
any square
somebody said that
footage.
there's probably 10, 12, 15 different stormwater drains on that property itself, but I don't know about the road itself, so.
They should have a plan, though, that's the point, I guess.
So Kevin, where are the outlets for that drainage? Where does that go? Into the river or into the streets?
No, that goes out to, main line usually runs right out to, what's the street there next to Front Street Motors, a little out of the way.
John Street.
John Street.
No, Adam.
Edison.
No, that's the one there, right by the parking lot there out front where the storeroom used to be. I can't think of the name right now. John's not John.
Adam.
Adam?
Adam. It goes out to a main line there and then it runs all the way down Front Street, down to the pumping station. Because when we had a problem in there one time, that's where they closed it off at, and that's where it ran into. So all the stormwater goes out to a main line there out Adam Street.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Pumping station went into the river?
All right, anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we have 3 high-rises in Sunbury.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we have no seats, benches downtown for these people to come uptown. It's too far to walk. From the high-rises, they like to go to market for these people without resting somewhere. I had knee surgery and I came from Riverfront, and I couldn't sit down to hit Wise's store because they had a bench. And I went over to the park to get a bench, and I went on an OIP, and I sat there for an hour and a half, walked home. But there's nothing downtown where if you're with a walker to sit and rest anywhere. Every other town has benches up in town. I like to see benches downtown and around the market house, so people can sit.
The only place we ever had them would have been at Stowe Alley, and you're right, we removed everything out of Stowe
Well,
Alley.
to have
years
one in
ago.
each block would be nice. I mean, other towns have them. And I'd like to put a plastic pavilion put in for the people coming through town waiting for buses would be nice, with coverage.
Okay.
But it's just,
I've been gathering information on those shelters anyway, so
Okay.
I'll come to you guys if you want to get some more.
I don't know where they put the
Senior
benches.
citizen.
They take it out, they had some private property, I guess. We wouldn't own any property with benches, though.
Just on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalks, I mean, yeah. Isn't that what we talk about, like along the sidewalks?
On the sidewalks,
Front
you
of
have
the
them down
store?
over the wall along the river, but there's nothing downtown for us to sit on. If you come down through.
That's what I'm saying, though, we don't own, Stowe Alley would be about the only piece of ground that we own.
Well,
What do
other
you want?
other towns
Oh, we can
have
look
one
at it,
in
though.
a
We'll
block
look at it.
somewhere, sit a bench.
It's a good idea, we'll look at it.
It'd be nice, I
We
appreciate
can
it.
find a spot. All right, well, thank everybody for coming, this meeting's adjourned.
Good night, Kevin.
Good night, Kevin.